The No Nonsense Roundtable. It's a weekly show broadcast on Rochester, New York's 50,000-watt iHeart radio station, News Radio Wham 1180. The host, Dom Geneva, interviews guests from all walks of life, all with amazing stories to tell. What you are about to hear is a recording of a previous broadcast with limited commercials. Now, here's host, Dom Geneva.
Well, welcome everybody to another edition of your No Nonsense Roundtable. I'm Dom Geneva, your host, every Saturday right here. And like I like to remind you at the beginning of every show, the previous shows are on nonsenseroundtable.com. And I think we have like 350 of them so far. So there's got to be something you like in there. Go listen. So today, of course, the show is always people you know and you want to know more about, and people that you probably don't know, but you should know. And this is somebody I would say in the latter quality, but is going to be somebody who is going to be known and known and known over the years, because she is a wonderful woman. Her name is Marchand Hargrave. Did I pronounce that
yes,
correctly?
You did.
Yes, on the first try, which is very, very good for me. And she has her own, we would call it in New York, we would call it a shtick. You have your own shtick of online podcast. How would you explain what you do? I'll let you do it.
I'm a brand. No, I have a virtual community for women entrepreneurs. I also host a podcast called High Vibe Table Talks, where I interview people around the roller coaster that is running your own business, which I'm sure that you have experienced many things like that. So I just like to I have a table, virtually, and that I like to invite people to, because I think that's where incredible conversations are had, when we're sitting around discussing the ups and the downs and just finding community through those processes.
And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is that you have a set of talents that I don't have, and it comes from an age thing. I'm looking at what you're doing online, and I'm doing something primarily with a base of radio, and you're doing something with YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is. So let me ask you the question I asked everybody at the beginning of the show. I mean, what did you want to do when you were 10 years old? I mean, obviously you didn't say you wanted to have a podcast when you were 10 years old, right?
No, I really wanted to be a vet growing up for a long time. And then I remember one day looking at my parents, realizing that vets had to put animals down. And I was like, well, that's not me.
Yeah.
That's not my plan in life. And so I actually went to school to be a teacher. I graduated from Cortland with a phys ed degree. And then the year that I graduated in 2009, they made huge layoffs. It was, after the recession. And so it was really difficult to find a teaching job. So I was long-term subbing. I was coaching between the city and Gates Chi-Li, where I graduated from. And there was a phys ed job opening. I was one of 1,000 applicants to apply for that one single position. Wow. And I made it down to the final 3 and did not get it. And so I just kind of looked at my, then boyfriend, now husband, and said, I got to do something different. And so there was an opening at my dad's business partners. One of his business partners' businesses had a job opening in sales. And I said, well, we're going to give it a try, And so I started, we actually sold 2 car dealers. We sold SAS, 2 car dealerships. And I was there for a little over a decade and was wearing all the hats, and because my dad was in business with these people, I was able to sit in on meetings that I had no business being on. He's like, I want you to come and sit, and 60% of what we're going to talk about is going to go over your head, but I want you to listen to how decisions are being made, what conclusions they come to, their why behind everything. And that's what I want you to absorb. And so I was really lucky, and I sat there as a sponge, with these really high C-level people, and really understood the ins and outs of businesses. And, I got to a point during COVID where I was like, I need to, have other people at tables like this during entrepreneurship. I'm lucky enough to have a dad who's an entrepreneur. There's a lot of people out there who feel called to build something, to do something, to go after their dreams, and they don't have that opportunity. And so I want to, share these stories and have people see that, not everybody has it figured out as they're building their business. And that doesn't mean that you're not meant to, share what you want to offer with the world. So
I can relate to a lot of what you're saying. My daughter was like that. My daughter, who became an attorney, she wanted to be a vet until she thought about the fact that she's going to have to put animals down. It's exactly the same thing as you're talking about. But what you're talking about here is that entrepreneurial thing. I'm smiling because I remember meeting a fellow one day. And I said, well, what do you want to do when you finally? He says, well, I want to be an accountant or an entrepreneur. Well, entrepreneur is not like a job title. You want to own your business. You have an idea. You have a spark of an idea.
Yeah.
And the thing about an entrepreneur, I think you'll agree with this, is that most of the stuff you try doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the very nature of being an entrepreneur. Yes. I love the expression that Henry Ford says. If people asked me what they wanted, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So being in these meetings, now you're picking up the practical application of business and common sense from your dad. Now you say he was an entrepreneur. So what? Tell me about your dad and his entrepreneur-ish stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because he worked for Bausch & Lomb for a long time, and so was very on that corporate track. And then, Bausch & Lomb had big layoffs, and he, was one of them. And so he, just started trying different things and, was working with the city school district and was working with them on consolidating their technology. And he met a gentleman named Dale Pine. I don't know if you're familiar with Dale Pine. He is one of my favorite people on the planet. He works with the NFADA out in Buffalo. And so my dad met him. And so they just came up with this idea, car dealerships create a lot of paperwork. And so he decided to start a scanning business. So he scans all the documents up to the cloud for car dealerships. And so just kind of grew that. And
no, I'm holding my head because I sold my dealerships in 2020.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to hold all the papers for 7 years. You have no idea how much money I've been spending to have these in a secure place, and I should have had them scanned. I wish I knew your dad and this whole business. Yeah.
Oh, believe me, I called on you guys plenty of times.
Oh my Lord, yes. And we said, and we didn't. I'll show you during the break a little cartoon I have here. Maybe I'll put online about there's a guy, they're shooting arrows from the top of a castle, and some guy comes by with a machine gun. The guy goes, I'm shooting arrows, can't you see? I'm too busy. I can't talk to salespeople now. I'm too busy.
Exactly.
Apparently we did that to you.
No.
So the thing about you is that you pivoted. Now you started off one way, but ended up in a different direction. So what's the first time you got online? I mean, how long have you been doing this?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because I kind of started it during COVID when I, March of 2020, we were, I was making 250 cold calls a week to car dealerships because I had about 10 states, and I was not showing up the way that I wanted to because I was like, oh, I got to do laundry. We were all stuck at home. And so I said, if I'm not showing up the way that I want to, I'm sure there's others that aren't either. So I reached out to my network and said, hey, I'm going to open a Zoom room on Monday for 30 minutes. Come, we're going to talk about what our plans are for the week. And then I'm going to open it on Friday, and we're going to talk about how'd you do, what'd you learn, and let's celebrate a win. And so that's really how my first online program started, is just I needed accountability. I thought that others did too. And it was really impactful. And so I just started to grow it from there.
And we are about ready to head into our first break, and we will be continuing this conversation, after the break. This is Dom Geneva for my friend Jack Greco at Jack Greco Furniture. I keep saying to you that he has unique and wonderful stuff. He can build whatever you want if you want something really unique, and he has outdoor furniture. There is no reason that you should not at least go over to Jack Greco's Furniture and see what he has, because it's not like the stuff in the big box store, and you will be treated right. Go to see Jack Greco like I do. This is Don for my friend Todd, who owns Martinizing Dry Cleaning in Fairport. Like I like to say to you, he picks your clothes up and he drops your clothes off. Why schlep them yourself? I love the word schlep. You can save your time and your effort and your gas and do other things rather than take your clothes back and forth. They do a great job. Their number is 425-4242, 425-4242. Use them. I do all the time. Well, welcome back. We are having a great conversation with Marshawn Hargrave, who has an online presence, and she is an entrepreneur. And since you know more about this than I probably ever will, why don't we tell everybody about your business and the business model for it and how you make a buck?
Yeah, sure. So what I like to say a lot of times is that the people I work with are entrepreneurs that have found a problem, solved it for themselves, and now want to serve others with that same problem. You know, a lot of them are helping previous versions of themselves. And so my favorite word is tear-sighted. It's terrified and excited. And if you have that feeling, that's the direction you should go. But a lot of times that's really vulnerable. And so I think the best way to work through that is to find community, you know, and so finding others that are going through similar processes and are walking the same walk as you is really powerful. And so, you know, I have mastermind groups of 6 women, and we meet weekly, and, you know, they're all kind of on a journey to go together. And it's niche agnostic. It's not like I only work with, you know, career coaches or product-based businesses or people who have spaces, because I find that the journey of building a business is similar regardless of what you're selling.
What, exclusively women? I mean, could a guy be a part of this, or is this you trying to make this just a woman thing?
I market towards women, just because that is a niche that I found, you know, was lonely and struggling with finding their place. You know, a lot of, as we were talking previously, when I was sitting at those tables with my dad during his business, I was the only woman there, you know? And so I just have found that's the niche that I have kind of targeted and marketed towards. You know, over the last year, I've really pivoted into honing in on my background in sales, because it is something that a lot of women find very sticky and a lot of friction with when they start to build a business. They really care about what they're building and what their offer is, but you know, when they think of sales, they think of the car salesman. They think of pushing it on people. They think a lot of like negative emotions around the sales process. And so I've really honed in and niched down into how can we get you to have more conversations with more people about what you have to offer.
So, so you're providing them a space that you think is more amenable to them, and it's more safe for them to be in. They're going to be more open. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep. It's because starting something new, and you're like we talked about before, it's very vulnerable. You're going to fail. You're going to struggle, and so having people there that are supportive and just feels very safe.
Well, yeah, I guess what you're saying is scary enough of the way it is.
Yeah.
So, you know, I read a book before. I only read a couple of books before I went in business that I really liked, and one of them was actually you could tell. Actually, you say you can't tell a book by its cover, but you could actually tell by the book's cover, and it was fear the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, because of all the things that you're afraid of, you know, some of them are going to happen and some of them aren't going to happen, but don't buy a problem that's not happening yet.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have to understand that you will fail.
Yeah. Right.
But fail doesn't mean failure.
Right.
Okay, you go around the mountain, through the mountain, do whatever that. So tell me about some of your more successful clients.
That's one of my favorite clients, actually. She sells dog treats, and she, joined the mastermind, and she came, and it was the fall, and she said, I just went through festival season. And so that means every weekend she was out of her house. She was there long days. There's emotionally exhausting because you're at the fairs, the festivals, the Lilac Festival here, Fairport, food truck rodeo, things like that. And so, and then you spend the whole week baking the dog treats. And so she just was like, I can't do that every year. It's not a sustainable business model for me to do this every year. I said, okay, so how can we flip it? And how can we build, because, I think that we should build businesses that support your lifestyle, not create your life around your business. That's just a recipe for burnout. And so together we came up with this idea of having do you know the business Chewy? They do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, you're on a schedule every 4 weeks. We get our dog food. And so can you do something similar to that? And so within just one quarter, the 10 weeks that we were together, she flipped the business model. She found a company that would do the auto ship things for her. And just within that one quarter, she had found enough clients who were on that repeat business to cover all the expenses in the new business model. And so now she's just going out and selling on top of that to just bring in pure profit.
So let me ask you a question. So let's say somebody has a product and they don't know how to distribute it, do this with it. Would you be a good source for that, to finding people that could match your clients with something that somebody has to sell?
I'm definitely not an expert in product-based business or anything like that. I just, I love a good whiteboard session and brainstorming. And so with, a small group, we all come in with different experiences, knowing different people, meeting you're already going to introduce me to this person, that person. And so, I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily an expert in a product business or things like that, but, finding community and finding people to bounce ideas off of and do what feels good is definitely a space that I live in.
I think you have a sphere of influence there that has a lot of potential. Yeah. For instance, I'll tell you something what I'm thinking of. Okay. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to put this on pause for a second. I'm going to show you something. Okay.
Okay.
So ladies and gentlemen, you can't see what I have in front of me, but there's a piece of merchandise here, and it's from my mythical town that is sort of like Lake Wobegon. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with Garrison Keeler, and he has some of these T-shirts that I have. It's my town. It's Middle Finger Lake, where life is perfect. It could always be better. Okay, so this is my thing. Okay, one of my things. I have no idea how to distribute this, but you sound like you might have some people in your sphere of influence who might get together for one of these sessions. You have these mastermind sessions that might be able to brainstorm this, and somebody might be interested in that. Would that be something that you might be interested in?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely it's funny, and I think that, like we were talking before the show, it doesn't have to be that serious. Like you were talking about the ads you would come up with for your dealership. And so, just coming with something that you find interesting, and we would brainstorm, okay, where would the people who would enjoy merch like this, where would they show up? Where do they hang out? And then how can we connect you with those people so that you can get this in front of them?
Well, so I see you as a you have two products there. One product is what you're doing in mentoring and working with people who want to start their business. But the other thing is to match people that have talents that other people don't know or have the expertise from. So, that is very interesting. We're about ready to head into a break. We only got about another minute left, but this is good. This is good stuff.
Thanks. Yeah.
You get a lot there. I think you got a lot there more than you're even thinking of right now. This is really kind of cool. Thank you. We're going to go into the news break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking more about, the stuff. We're going to be talking about how professional is that? We're going to be talking about stuff. Okay, gang. We'll see you in a little bit. This is Dom Geneva for my friends, a couple of young guys, Jarozinski Brothers Sealing. They have a very professional company to seal your driveway. They are efficient. They are reasonable. They know what to do to treat you right. Jarozinski Brothers Sealing. Just Google them. Jarozinski's Brothers Sealing. Jarosinski Brothers Sealing. They're wonderful. I use them. You should. Well, welcome back. We're having a wonderful conversation with Marshawn Hargrave, who is an entrepreneur herself, and let's talk more about you and what you do. How do you monetize this?
Yeah, so the current way, we talked a little bit earlier about pivoting and changing, and so about the beginning of 2024, I really realized I needed to leverage my sales experience. And so at the end of 2024, I said, I need to make this sales education accessible for people. And, so I created a sales course, and it really spotlights the prospecting piece of sales, and, having more conversations with more people. And so I created a sales course. And so people can buy that, and it's go at your own pace. But I also offer, I call them prospecting power hours. And so again, it's very community based. So people come on and they're all selling their own thing. But I have quite a few people who, have ADHD or are neurodiverse, and so the body doubling really helps. The accountability really helps. And so we talk for the first 15 or 20 minutes. How are you going to show up in sales today? Who are you targeting? What is your script that you're going to use for them? Are you cold calling, cold pitch emails, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever the mode that you're using? And then everybody kind of goes on mute and goes and spends an hour of just pure prospecting. So going out and having more conversations with people. And so it kind of combines the educational experience of sales, and now you got to go do it. You got to go do the work, and we're all out there together. We do them every Wednesday. So we had one yesterday, and there are some days, just like when I was selling to car dealerships, there's sometimes where I'd get done with the hour and I had 3 meetings booked. And there were sometimes I'd get done with the hour and I left 45 voicemails and got told to F off,
Yeah.
That's just, it's, the success piece of it is not how well was your outcome. It's that you showed up today and you put in the work, and that's all you have control over. I had no control over who answered, who said yes. That's not my business. My business is that I have to show up and I have to do the work. And so that's the power of the prospecting power hours, is we're all showing up to our sales funnel together. And, learning some stuff that, you go to school for business and they may not teach you about a sales funnel, or, maybe like me, I went to school for education. And so when I was in sales, I had to become a student of sales. And my favorite book that I ever read during that time was Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt. And it really hit me over the head around all the excuses that I was making of why I wasn't showing up to the sales process and the mind games that you play. The first part of my sales course is about the mindset of going out and selling. And because you're going to hear no, you're going to fail, you're going to get told that, it's whatever excuse the other person is going to give, whether it's too expensive or not the right time or whatever. And so you have to have a strong enough mindset to persevere. And so that's what I'm, most proud of at the moment, of what I'm putting out there as my sales course, and the community that we're building of women entrepreneurs who are going out and showing up to their sales funnel every week.
Are you somebody that likes to sell?
No. No.
Another thing we have in common.
Yeah, it's not, even as someone who does it every week, it's not enjoyable, but the mindset that I have is sales is a commitment to your calling. And so I feel really called to go and make women very successful so that they have freedom and options. And the way through that is to go and put your offer out there.
It's but no, I'm laughing because that's exactly the way I feel. I love to create things. I love to come up with the ideas and whatever. It's just like I don't want to do the gardening.
Yeah.
Growing up, my dad, maybe this is a silly analogy, but we had 300 tomato plants in my home, and he made me water those plants every day after school. 300, and it broke me of ever wanting to do gardening, and I've had enough selling. I don't want to sell, but I do need people that do that. So if anybody wants a job, give me a call because I have a couple of ideas that can make you a lot of money if you want to sell. So how do people get in touch with you? Let's do retail.
Yeah. So I show up a lot on Instagram. I'm at High Vibe Cowork on Instagram. My website is highvibecowork.com. I have my podcast is there as well as the sales course. I think, and I'm also on LinkedIn. You can search for me. I'm sure my name, because it's not phonetical how it's spelled, will be in the show notes. But yeah, I think that's where I show up most online.
And we met through the Visitors Bureau, right? How did you find me? Let's put it this way.
I am always looking to be on other people's podcasts because I think that is a good sales technique, is to be on other people's platforms. And so I was Googling Rochester-based podcasts, and your show came up, and I reached out to you.
Are you a member of the VIC, the Visitors and Industry deal?
I'm not familiar with it.
You should be, because that's a great networking. I'll get the right name for that in a second here. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here. The Visitor Industry Council. You should be a member of this thing. They have a meeting, and any of our listeners too. It's really kind of cool. What they do is they have a meeting every month, and they have presentations and then a networking thing afterward. We have a cocktail and maybe an hors d'oeuvre or whatever. And if you have a business, they let you get up and give a 30-second presentation at the end. So you have 15 or 20 people tell people about their their coffee shop or their wares or what they do. So that would be a good place, because these are all younger entrepreneurs like you.
Yeah.
And you get to exchange your card and whatever. But the Visitor Industry Council, the VIC, I call it the VIC, and I go to this thing. So you should come visit and see if you want to join that, because that what you're talking about is networking.
Yeah.
And years ago, networking was your golf club. Mm-hmm. You played golf with your friend, your spouse, or whatever, and you did business on the golf course.
Yeah.
And that kind of has gone away. And people are doing this online and in groups like this now. So,
well, it's interesting because I'm a part of like Rochester Women's Network and things like that. But speaking of gardening, like it's just the season I'm in, which I think is another reason that I have somewhat niched down to women is, I coach my daughter's lacrosse team, and my husband also coaches lacrosse for Rush Henrietta. And so, like our evenings are really busy, especially this time of year. And so going to events like that can be a little bit more difficult.
It's during the day.
Oh, well, there you go. That's even better.
No, it's 3:00.
Perfect.
It's 3:00 during the day. And they finish up at 5 where they serve the cocktails and
Perfect. Yeah. Sign me in.
Okay.
Sign me up.
Okay. Well, we are heading to another break real soon. But do you have a web address?
I do. Yep. High Vibe, HIGHVIBE Cowork COWRK.com.
High Vibe. I like that.
Thank you. I could tell that story after the break too of how I came up with that.
Well, we'll do that right after this. This is Dom Geneva from my friends at Metro Mattress. Cars have gotten better over time. Anti-lock brakes, GPS, backup cameras. Well, it's the same thing with mattresses and bases. The whole industry has changed, and there's new stuff out there that you need to be aware of. Now, one of the things is you want to deal locally, and you can have that too. You deal with Metro Mattress. They are based in Syracuse. They have 7 stores locally here in Rochester. It's where Nina and I got our mattress and base. See them. Well, we're in our last section with Marshawn Hargrave, wonderful entrepreneur who is spreading the word of entrepreneurship, if you want to call it that. And we were talking about the name of your company here and how you came up with it. Let's tell everybody about that.
Yeah, so I was looking for different meetings, because when I was in sales for the software company, I knew that wasn't my forever. There was going to be a point where either the company was sold or I just moved on to something different. But, I felt like I had niched down in education. I, graduated with a phys ed degree, and then I kind of niched down into document management software for car dealerships. And I didn't even know what else was out there. So I started going to different networking events. And I visited some, I'm blanking on the name, but just different local networking groups. And I would leave them and I would call my dad, because he's my, entrepreneur partner. And he would go, how high vibe was it? And so that was kind of like my rating scale. And so I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for. And so I created my own. And so that's kind of how I came up with the name.
So what's the most fun thing you do?
Ooh, I really think my podcast is the most fun thing that I do. I feel really grateful that I get to talk to really cool people doing really cool stuff. It's eye opening to find these people. I interviewed some woman who, she's an introvert and is an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of people think that you have to be an extrovert to be an entrepreneur, but she creates these virtual summits, and so she pours all her energy into these virtual summits one time a year, makes a lot of money, makes other people a lot of money, and then gets to sit on the beach or do whatever she needs to refresh and recoup the other 10 months out of the year. So it's just like these really cool people that have just found ways to support themselves and bring really cool things into the world.
Well, you sound like you and I have this in common. I mean, I see the light in your eyes too. You get it. I don't care if you have 5 listeners or 50,000 listeners. You're meeting somebody that you wouldn't have met before, and you're getting to see what their journey is, and you learn something from everybody. Everybody has something to contribute to your life, and you have no idea where that's going to go. Yeah. And it's like my 7% rule. Not everybody's going to like you. 7% of the people are going to be either crazy or mean. You can't do anything with them. But you spend your time with the people that you that you know and you like. You make friends, and maybe you share a meal or two or get to know somebody. It's really kind of cool. So you're doing basically the same thing that I'm doing for the same kind of reasons you're doing it. So it's good. I think that this Visitors Industry Council, I want to give them a little shout out too. Anybody who's interested in doing networking, their meetings are once a month. It's 3 to 5, and then they have an open bar. Well, that's not an open bar; it's a pay bar. But they have some hors d'oeuvres and whatever. You sit there, you can exchange business cards. And they have a presentation during the event, but also at the end of the event, they let you get up and give a 30-second commercial on what you're doing, and a little retail about the shop that you have, or the restaurant that you have, or the radio show that you have, and that would be a perfect place for you to be. And they're only there to do good. Yeah. I mean, this is the organization is trying to uplift Rochester, get some attention to Rochester. And like I always say, I think that the biggest problem with Rochester is that our reputation is not where it should be. When you see people, and we were talking about this during the break, when you see people that come here and they say, oh, I didn't realize it was this nice, well, then your marketing was no good. Right. I mean, your marketing should be ahead of it. Your features and benefits should not be something somebody discovers after they bought the product. iPhone, I didn't know you could take a picture with it. Yes, it's a phone and you can take a picture with it. It's nice if you knew that before you bought the iPhone, right? So, of the disciplines marketing, advertising, what brings you the most joy? Is it closing a sale? I know you hate to sell, but is it closing a sale, or is it coming up with an idea of what?
I think my favorite thing is when I see the people in the group celebrating their wins, like just like we were talking before about the woman who sold dog treats. And when she came and she goes, I already have customers that are covering all my expenses for this. And she found relief and, got some of her life back. And so to see, in the prospecting power hours, to have people message me, be like, I just got, 4 responses from the emails I sent, the other day, and to have them be excited. I think part of that is, the coach and teacher in me is seeing other people succeed, and just knowing that I had a little bit of an impact on that, and that my ripple effects, are now going out further.
Well, you and I should team up. I mean, there's no question about this. I mean, so I just finished my book. Okay. Yeah. So I found a fella who, he basically does this for a living. You give him your idea, you write the book, he edits the book, he shows you how to put it on Amazon. Okay. He goes through this whole thing. Okay. Yeah. So maybe you have somebody who's looking to write a book. Okay. There you go. there you go. Okay. You just so you may not know that this fella exists. And I love this guy. His name is Bob Harrison. I would recommend, as a matter of fact, my book is called Don't Be Taken for a Ride. Know what your dealer knows. Okay. So I have bought Don't Be Taken. So don'tbetaken.com is going to be a series of books. Don't be taken by, your college application process. Don't be taken by your, buying a real estate. Don't be taken by, don't be taken by your computer. So it's sort of like for dummies, but it's for, so I am working with this fella. I would highly recommend him. Yeah. Okay. So what would your book be called? Don't be taken what?
Yeah. Well, I have this idea. So I'm a big gardener. I was not, I don't have childhood shame.
Nobody ruined it for you.
So I'm a big vegetable gardener, and there are just so many things that I take out of lessons from the garden that apply to my life as a business owner and as an entrepreneur. And so I would love to write a book around the journey of entrepreneurship, but through the eyes of a gardener. We talk about the sales process and planting seeds, and sometimes they bloom and sometimes they don't. And, every plant, it blooms for its own reason, not for whatever is going on around them and the storms that you weather and things like that.
I learned a lot about the stock market from my dad's tomato garden. Okay. He would have 300 tomato plants. So we had lots and lots and lots of tomatoes. Yeah. So we gave these tomatoes away, okay? And what we got back was Guggenseal, which is squash, okay? Squash is not worth... A squash is not worth a pound of tomatoes, okay? This is like Kodak stock and Apple stock, okay? Yeah. It's stock, it's a share, it's not worth the same thing.
I don't even grow squash in my plant.
You see, that's what I mean. It's worthless.
It is.
Squash is. You know what? We're about ready to get out of the show. Don't be angry at me, fans. I don't like squash. It's not worth a tomato. Yep. You leave tomatoes off of your neighbor, they give you squash back. It's not good. It's not good. There's only so much you can do.
So I'm curious what I'm gonna when I drop off tomatoes here in.
I love yes. I'll make you some of my mother's fresh sauce. And the best thing with the fresh sauce is that the tomatoes have to be overripe. So give me all the ones that are just about to spoil. Yeah. And something else that's about to spoil is this show, because we are running out of time. It's been delightful meeting you.
You as well. Thank you.
There's the last line of Casablanca is, I think this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Yeah. So I think this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Thanks for coming on the show. And
I appreciate you having me.
I think we're like mind for a lot of different things. So until next week, boys and girls, it's the No Nonsense Roundtable. Tune in next week too. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Tune in every Saturday from 10 to 11 on News Radio Wham 1180. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll make more.